most important security departments in the Democratic Kampuchea regime was known as the 21 Security Department, the letter S representing the word for security, and the number 21 was the last two digits of the ICUM, walkie-talkie, number of Comrade Nat, the former head of Department 21. This security department was located in the southern part of Phnom Penh, in the Tulsvay Prey district. Department 21 was used to detain, interrogate, torture, and kill prisoners who were sent here after the middle of 1976. Not a single prisoner was released from this prison. Out of about 14,000 prisoners, only about 12 survived after the fall of the Democratic Kampuchea regime. These prisoners were spared because they had special qualities that were useful to Department 21. Some of them were painters, watchmakers, and sculptors. Department 21 was the former Chaupan Hia Yat High School, built in 1962. The prison was located on a plot of land measuring 600 meters long and 400 meters wide. Behind the school fence were two thatched buildings that housed the primary school, Tulsvay Prey. All these buildings formed the 21 prisons during the Democratic Kampuchea regime. The 21 prisons were surrounded by a galvanized fence and barbed wire with electricity. The prison complex consisted of 4 large buildings. The classrooms on the ground floor were divided into smaller rooms measuring 8 by 2 meters. The first floor classroom, measuring 8 by 6 meters, was used for holding prisoners. On the second floor, each room was large and held 40 to 50 prisoners. One room was used as the office of Dutch, the prison director. Another room was used as an office. The General Administration Office, a number of houses near the prison, was used as an interrogation room for torture. Most of the prisoners in Ward S-21 were accused of treason or betrayal of the party, or had worked for treasonous cadres who had already been arrested. For some time, the leaders of the Communist Party of Cambodia had become increasingly suspicious and distrustful of their own cadres and troops. For example, in October 1976, during the process of tightening national security, Pol Pot arrested many senior party cadres and took them to Ward S-21. The Khmer Rouge leaders realized that the enemy was everywhere in the country and were arresting many Communist Party members every month. In addition to the Cambodian prisoners held in Tul Sleng prison, there were about 400 foreign prisoners, most of whom were Vietnamese prisoners who were considered to be undercover agents, KCB. The staff of Ward 21 also became prisoners there for reasons such as laziness in preparing documents, damaging machines and other equipment, or beating prisoners to death without permission during interrogation. Most of the confessions in Ward 21 were false because most of the prisoners had not committed any serious crimes, and the prisoners confessed only to escape torture. The regulations in the 21 prison are posted on the wall in the prison compound. The prison rules in the 21 prison include 10 points. First, ask questions and do not divert my questions. Second, do not solve the problem by using this or that excuse according to your own ideas, hide it or deny it. Third, do not act stupidly and do not understand the problem because you dare to oppose the revolution. Fourth, ask immediately and answer immediately. Do not hesitate for a minute. Fifth, minor shortcomings such as moral corruption, do not talk about the content of the revolution. Sixth, do not shout or beat or electrocute. Seventh, do not do anything, sit quietly and wait for my orders. Do not do anything. Do not immediately argue about what I order. Do not use the excuse of Cambodia Krom to cover up your treacherous face. Ninth, if you do not follow all the above orders, you will be whipped and electrocuted for 1 day. 10th, if you violate my rules, you will be whipped 15 times or electrocuted 5 times. Another regulation for prisoners is the closure of the building. If the ban is 5 points, the first is not to talk to each other at all, whether you know them or not. Second, if you want to do something, you must have permission from the guard. Third, do not make noise in the place where you are staying. Fourth, when the guard or anyone else enters, everyone must lie down. Fifth, when searching, you must put your hands behind your back and not move freely. When sent to the 21 prison, all prisoners were photographed and required to write a detailed biography from childhood to the day of their arrest. The prisoners were stripped of their clothes except for their pants, and all their belongings were confiscated. Then the prisoners were taken to a cell where they were held. All prisoners were shackled with chains attached to the wall or floor. As for the prisoners who were taken to the main cell, their legs were shackled with a long iron rod. These shackles were attached to alternating iron bars so that the prisoners had to lie with their heads facing each other. The prisoners had to sleep directly on the floor without a mattress, mosquito net, or blanket. The prisoners were told not to talk to each other. Mr. Vannat, a survivor, described his life in the S-21 prison. In the 21 prison, I was shackled with a long iron rod with more than 30 other prisoners. The Khmer Rouge gave us 2 meals a day. All prisoners received a ration, 4 small spoons of porridge, and mixed vegetables and leaves. Talking was strictly forbidden. If anyone wanted to sit up or drink water, they had to ask the guard's permission first. Doing anything without the guard's permission would result in a severe beating. They made us take a bath every 4 days. They would take a hose and throw it from the door. If we were far from the door, we would not get enough water. Every day, prisoners were brought in for questioning, and some were never seen again. But we saw new prisoners being brought in to replace them. At 4:30 in the morning, the prisoners were stripped naked for the guard to inspect. The guard had to check if the handcuffs were loose, or if the prisoner had anything that could be used to commit suicide. After a while, many prisoners committed suicide. Therefore, the guard had to be very careful in checking the handcuffs in the room. The living conditions in Ward S-21 were so dirty that most prisoners developed scabies and lice. There was no medicine in the prison. The medical staff in Ward S-21 were not properly trained and only treated to delay death. However, after being severely injured during interrogation, prisoners were blindfolded and taken from the detention center to the interrogation center. The guards did not allow prisoners to talk to each other. Moreover, different groups of people were not allowed to communicate within the prison. Many brutal torture methods were used with prisoners held in the S-21 prison to obtain confessions. Sometimes prisoners were beaten with sticks and electric shocks or electrocuted. Other torture methods used in the 21 prison included lighting cigarettes, forcing them to eat feces or drink urine, having needles inserted into their bodies, or being hung upside down by their hands for a whole day, or being hung upside down with their feet up and their heads down. Some prisoners were stabbed with knives, or had their noses covered with a bag. Other methods such as pulling out fingernails and pouring alcohol on them, or being immersed were used to extract confessions. Some prisoners died during the torture of female prisoners, tortured by stripping or forcing them to strip naked. Some female prisoners were raped by interrogators. Even though sexual assault was against the policy of democratic Cambodia, interrogators found to have committed this act were executed. In the confession, prisoners were required to describe their personal history. If they were party members, the exact date of their entry into the revolution was given, and the work they had done was described. Then, the prisoners were required to describe their treacherous acts in order. On the 3rd day of the confession, the prisoners were required to describe their failed conspiracy or other treacherous conversations. At the end of the confession, the prisoners were required to write down the names of their other teams, traitor networks, which were friends, colleagues, or people the prisoners knew. Some confessions listed up to 100 people involved. Most of those named on the list were taken for questioning because the torture at Ward S-21 was so brutal that prisoners often confessed whatever they could think of, even if the answers were wrong. About 1,000 staff work in 21 departments, of which about 400 are general staff, including vegetable growers to meet prison needs. In addition, there is a prison labor force that works.
At least collect the buffalo seeds or the trap seed for and my parents do that. And they were only limited to eat the food. I can tell you, I told you already, about 2 minutes before I because of that. Do not think it. Cambodia did not die from the killing field only for that. No. Die more than the reason the killing field died because of too much labor force, starvation and disease. And then look at this lady. The man on the president's side, who is lady getting this? Here. The great test master, I told you already, when did he die? How could he become a leader? When did he die? What I told you already. And Son Sen, the Minister of National Defense. Do you remember what I told you about this man? Son Sen, almost suspected as an army spy. And then Pol Pot sent 10,000 soldiers to capture the entire family and then kill Son Sen, and the two daughter and young granddaughter of Son Sen were brutally left by Pol Pot soldier and cut off the head after. And then these two men died before the special court was established. And then only the 5 remaining leaders were captured. You will see their photo. And here, the president of this prison, S21. Yeah. He was responsible about 20,000 people, men, women, foreigner, politicians, soldiers, journalists, and so on. Here, this is the entire government. Pol Pot, Nguyen Chi, Inzri, and Son Sen, they were the foremost powerful men of this region. You will see their statue at the end of the building. And these two men, Conrad and Boy Twin, were both suspected as Vietnamese spies. They were captured, CIA. They were captured and killed after them. They were from this government. Yeah. And a group photo that Pol Pot soldier arrived in the city. The people, they were so happy to see that this soldier will come to see the civil war in Cambodia. And a few hours later, the people were forced to leave to the countryside this way. Only walk, no food, no water, and proper transportation. And the soldier and politicians were captured and killed outside the city from Khmer Republic and the King government. And I want to show you the purple line, this area, on the top of the mountain along the Thai border. And the people in this area still believe that Pol Pot was a grand leader. He's still a good and grand leader of Cambodia, as I told you. And the clothes that Pol Pot, that the children, 5 children tied to escape the killer that killed 14 people. But do not expect the clothes that the same as the clothes you're wearing. Super smelly, super dirty and disgusting. And the uniform of the government that Pol Pot designed for his regime, ladies and gentlemen. The uniform with the scarf to show that this is the uniform of the Khmer Rouge society that they dress the farmer. The scarf used by the farmer at the countryside mostly, that was saying that the farmer is a holy man, the honest man of the society. That is why Pol Pot neglected the scarf with his uniform. But do not expect that the scarf belongs to Pol Pot region. No, the genocide region. No, the scarf used by Cambodian people more than 2,000 years away. If you visit Siem Reap, the curve on the wall, you will see that Cambodia carry that scarf 1,000 years away. And Pol Pot designed the uniform with the scarf. And here, these are the young prison guards. The young prison guards that Pol Pot government recruited to be the soldier, the security guard, and the killer of this region. What are the two main conditions that they will capture with this to be the son of the government? What are the two main conditions? Very easy question. In order to be the soldier, the killer of Pol Pot government, there must be uneducated people, there must be very poor people. That is the two main reasons. Why? Easy to brainwash, easy to assign them to do anything in the government. They are the former prison guards of this prison. They were between 14, 15, 16 and 17 years old, while the prisoners were around 30, 20, 50, 60, 70 years old. What did this young prison guard call the victim? During interrogation, torture, and so on. This prison guard called the prisoner that motherfucker dog or motherfucker blind. And the prison guard and the prisoner called this young man respectful comrade or respectful brother. Ladies and gentlemen, you can move around. You will see more photo of the prison guard, the victim, and the other prisoner around, ladies and gentlemen. These are the victims killed, the soldier and the government, so they were captured and sent to this prison. And during the prison operation and before they were killed, I told already what happened to the women victims. So you can move around. doing as well. I cry a lot. Then until my client said that you rest for 13 years on hour, that you will then can come out. Because it's too much for us. It's so my heart to present you because it's so shameful to us that Cambodian people. And here the atrocity of the victim that they suffer from this prison. You see the photo here, the prisoner already died. This prisoner was not that executed, but why is it? Why? Why did they die? Sickness. Starvation, disease, sickness, too much torture. And this is the situation of the prisoner that they are during torture. And this is the VIP prisoner. And the photo, a group photo of intellectual, ladies and gentlemen. A group of intellectual or educated people. The enemy of the communist revolution. But can you tell me how could the government of Pol Pot identify who were educated people? How could they identify and reveal that? Oh, this man is educated, this man is doctor, this man is lawyer, so on. How could they identify? There is a question to answer. What thing? What you ask them to read? Yes. Sometimes they test the people there. Who were the former government officers? Raise up your hand. The government, our government need you to go back to Philippines and we will double pay you monthly with the same position. You happy to hear that? Everyone happy? Raise up. One more thing, they notice about how the people speak and communicate and the sentence structure, and they can notice about some people that wear the glasses, that's it. And the people that have the soft skin, dry skin, and some people, the entire family from. And then this is the evidence of the entire family who were captured and killed together. I can tell you that 99% of Cambodian people lost their family member, and some, the entire family, they lived there.
Tul Sleng Genocide Museum, one of the 3 departments of the prison, and including the staff working in the office of the 21 department. The departments of the 21 department include the documentation department, the protection department, and the interrogation department. The documentation department is responsible for transcribing confessions from the newspaper, typing the prisoners' confessions, summarizing their texts, and organizing the files. The staff working in the photography department is responsible for taking half-length photographs of prisoners upon their arrival, photographing prisoners at the scene of their deaths in the cells, and photographing important prisoners after their executions. Thousands of photographs survive to this day, but thousands more have been lost. The protection department is the largest department in the 21 department. The security forces in this department are mostly teenagers. Most of the security forces have difficulty obeying the strict orders of the department. The security forces are not allowed to talk to prisoners, ask them their names, or beat them up. The security forces are prohibited from peeking into interrogations and must strictly adhere to the 30-point rule that prohibits lying down, sitting, or leaning against the walls while on duty. The security forces must walk around and inspect everything with the utmost care. Any security personnel who committed a serious crime were arrested, interrogated, and then executed. Most of the workers in the 21 department were very afraid of possible crimes and feared torture and execution. The interrogation units were divided into 3 groups: the hot group, the cold group, and the harsh group. The hot group, sometimes called the catch group, could torture during interrogation. On the other hand, the cold group, sometimes called the kelp group, was not allowed to use torture and interrogation. If the group could not get a confession from the prisoner, they were sent to the hot group, the harsh group. In serious and important cases, the interrogation lasted for a long time, sometimes continuing into the middle of the night. The interrogators could read and write and were generally over 20 years old. Department 21 was under the control of the Ministry of National Defense, led by Sun San, known as Myth Q. Before joining the Communist Party of Cambodia, Sun San had studied in France and worked as a teacher. It should be noted that Comrade Sun San was originally from South Vietnam. Namely, he was born in Tra Vinh Province, which in Khmer is called Pria Tre Pieng Province. Senior leaders in Department S-21 included Dutch, who was the head of Department S-21. Kim Vat was the deputy head of Department 21. Mam Nai was the deputy head of S-21. Hong was the commander of the guards. Deputy head of Department S-21 was the commander of the guards. Chan was the head of the interrogation unit, and Pon was the interrogator. Pon interrogated many important prisoners, including Kio Mies, Ne Saran and Hunim and Phok Chai. These were all former teachers. Most of the prisoners were held in Department S-21 for 2 to 3 months. However, some senior Khmer Rouge cadres were held in Department S-21 for months and gave hundreds of pages of confessions after being brought to Department S-21 for 2 or 3 days. All were brought for interrogation without any concern for the truth. All prisoners had to confess that they were traitors to the revolution and had committed crimes. The interrogators recited that after the interrogation was complete, the prisoners would be taken to be destroyed, a term used in the democratic Kampuchea regime instead of the word killed. In the first years of the operation of the S-21 prison, the bodies of prisoners were buried near.
This man is a journalist, and this two men was labor too. Tourists, yes, they travel from Singapore to Thailand with the boat, but their boat broke because of the storm and removed the boat to the sea of Cambodia. And Pol Pot soldiers captured them and sent them to this prison with the accusation of CIA because of their physical appearance, the white skin, the blue eye, and so on.
Did any tourists get sent to the farms?
No.
That was killed.
The tourists, as you can see, foreigner will go to the prison directly.
Cannot have foreign IDs for the countries, right?